You know that feeling when you open your banking app and pray the number inside magically changed overnight? Yeah, that was me. Every Friday morning. I used to think maybe the app was lagging, like, wait, did I forget a side hustle? Did someone send me money by accident? Spoiler alert, nope, still broke. Every single time. I was 24, working a full-time job making $45,000 a year, which in my head was supposed to feel like making it. But after rent, groceries, Netflix, gas, and that one coffee habit that could bankrupt a small nation, I was somehow ending every month at zero, sometimes below zero. One night, I remember sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by unopened mail, overdue notices, and a half-eaten Chipotle bowl, just staring at my bank balance. It said $76? 48 hours from payday? I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't laugh, I was probably going to cry. And I asked myself this one question that started it all. How is it possible that I'm working full time and still living like I'm broke in college? That question haunted me, but it also changed me because it forced me to do something most people never do. I stopped blaming the number and started studying the behavior behind it. And over the next 18 months, I saved my first $10,000 on a $45,000 salary. No inheritance, no bonus, no lucky crypto bet. Just mindset, math, and discipline. The boring stuff that actually works. But before you roll your eyes, this isn't one of those stop buying lattes and your life will change lectures. Nope. I'm going to show you what really happens inside your brain when you try to save money, why most people quit right before it starts working, and how to turn financial anxiety into freedom. You ready? Okay, let's start with the most painful truth I discovered. Saving money doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your brain. Here's what I mean. When you first start earning, your brain does something sneaky. It normalizes your income. The first paycheck feels exciting, but by month 3, you've adapted. It's called hedonic adaptation, and it's the reason even rich people still feel broke. You get used to comfort so fast that your new baseline becomes invisible. So I decided to test myself. One day, I asked, what if I pretended I never got that raise? I picked a number that felt fair, 10%. I set up my direct deposit so that 10% of every paycheck automatically went into a separate savings account. I called it Do Not Touch. Not emergency fund, not savings, literally do not touch. And here's the thing. I didn't feel richer, but I didn't feel poorer either. Within 2 weeks, my brain adjusted. I still got my coffee, still hung out with friends, nothing collapsed. And yet, I was saving. That's when I learned the first real rule of money. You don't need more discipline, you need fewer decisions. Automation beats motivation. Every single time. And this one trick alone saved me $3,000 that first year, without even thinking about it. But it wasn't smooth sailing after that, because saving money is like going to the gym. Results don't show up for a while, and that's exactly when people quit. Around month 4, I remember thinking, what's the point? I've got $3,000, rent's due, my car's making that noise again, and my friends are out having fun. That voice, the one that whispers, you're missing out. It's not just laziness, it's biology. Your brain's reward system was designed thousands of years ago for survival, not saving. When you save, you delay gratification, which to your brain feels like loss, literally. Neuroscientists call it loss aversion. Losing $100 feels twice as painful as gaining $100 feels good. So every time you transfer money into savings, your brain quietly screams, "No! We're losing resources!" But if you stay consistent long enough, something magical happens. Your brain starts associating safety, not loss, with saving. That's when the habit flips. And that moment was my first big turning point. I remember opening my banking app one random Tuesday and seeing $5,027 in savings. I stared at it for like 5 minutes, half shock, half pride, half,
Wait, that's too many halves. You get it. I realized for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't just working for money. My money was quietly working for me. That hit different because suddenly every dollar I saved wasn't about what I was giving up, it was about what I was building. That mental shift changed everything. But let's rewind a bit because people always ask, okay, Jack, but where did that money actually come from? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. What can I even save? Good question. And I'll be brutally honest. The problem wasn't income, it was leaks. My money was leaking everywhere, like a cracked bucket. Subscription I forgot about here, late night Uber Eats there, $60 on impulse Amazon stuff that solved zero problems. So one weekend, I did something that changed my financial life forever. I went through my last 3 months of bank statements, line by line, every transaction. It was painful. Like, why did I tip $8 for a smoothie? Painful. But here's what I found. On average, I was wasting about $450 a month. Not on emergencies, not on bills, just frictionless spending. So, I did two things. Number one, canceled anything I wasn't using. And number two, created what I called the 2-day rule. If I wanted to buy something non-essential, new headphones, jacket, whatever, I had to wait 2 days. No exceptions. If after 48 hours I still wanted it, I could buy it. Here's the funny thing. 80% of the time, I forgot about it. That one rule alone saved me almost $2,000 a year. Around this time, I started tracking my progress in a simple Google Sheet. It wasn't fancy, just date, amount saved, and one note. What did I sacrifice or automate this month? Month one, cut subscriptions, saved $120. Month two, carpooled twice a week, saved $60 on gas. Month three, meal prepped lunches, saved $150. Month four, switched insurance, saved $90. Month five, stopped browsing Amazon for fun, saved $200. That's $620 per month. Multiply by 12 months, you get $7,440. And that's the power of awareness. We don't need to make 10x more money, we just need to stop silently leaking the money we already have. It's like driving a Ferrari with flat tires. Doesn't matter how fast it goes, you're still dragging resistance. But around month 6, I hit a wall. The emotional one. See, I had the habit down, but emotionally, I still felt broke. Because every time I scrolled through Instagram, I'd see people my age buying cars, traveling, flexing sneakers that cost more than my rent. It made me feel like saving was losing, like I was missing life while everyone else was living it. And that's when I realized comparison is the most expensive habit in the world. No joke. Comparison has a 100% success rate at making you spend money you don't have to impress people who don't care. So I made a rule for myself. I don't compare up. I compare backward. Instead of asking, why don't I have what they have? I started asking, do I have more control than I did last year? And every time the answer was yes, that became my new flex. That's when money stopped being emotional chaos and started being emotional peace. And that's the thing nobody tells you. Saving money isn't about being cheap. It's about being in control. It's not restriction, it's direction. Because if you don't give your money a job, it'll find one on its own, and you won't like where it works. Now, around month 8, I started to feel momentum. My do not touch account crossed $6,000, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to understand why this worked when nothing else did. So I started reading everything I could about behavioral finance, and I found something wild. A Princeton study showed that once you automate your savings, your stress levels drop by up to 32% in 3 months. Why? Because your brain loves predictability more than progress. That's when I realized the reason we fail at money isn't lack of willpower, it's decision fatigue. Every time you have to choose to do the right thing, you spend mental energy. And that energy runs out fast. But automation removes the choice. It makes saving the default, not the exception. And I think that's where most people get stuck. They try to build financial freedom on motivation, not systems. But motivation is like coffee. It wears off. Systems don't. Now, here's a little side story, and I swear this changed how I view money forever. One night, I was scrolling Reddit, of course, and I saw this post titled, "The Wealthy Sleep Well." I clicked it out of curiosity. The guy basically said, the difference between the rich and everyone else isn't how much they earn, it's how calm they feel about money. That line hit me like a brick, because back then, I was saving, but I wasn't calm. I still checked my bank balance every day like a stock trader on caffeine. So I started doing something small. Before checking my finances, I'd ask myself, what am I hoping to feel after I check this? If the answer was anxiety or control, I waited. It taught me that money is a mirror. It reflects your emotions before it multiplies your results. By this point, I'd saved around $7,500, and I realized this was no longer about money. It was about identity. I wasn't trying to save, I was a saver. And that tiny difference, identity, is everything. Because your brain fights for consistency. If you believe you're bad with money, you'll subconsciously prove yourself right. But if you start believing you're the kind of person who manages money well, your actions automatically align. It's the same psychology behind fitness. People who say, "I'm trying to work out," fail more than people who say, "I'm a runner." Identity anchors behavior. And that's when I started sharing some of this journey with friends. I remember one buddy saying, "Dude, I make more than you, and I have nothing to show for it." I told him, "Bro, same." Until I realized saving isn't about how much you make, it's about how little you need to spend to feel whole. We laughed, but he started following the same rules: automation, 2-day wait, backward comparison. 6 months later, he texted me, $4,200 saved. Never thought I could. That's when it clicked. This wasn't luck. This was replicable. And here's the truth most people avoid. The reason saving feels hard isn't because it is hard. It's because no one rewards you for it. You don't get applause for skipping brunch. No one congratulates you for not buying the new iPhone. But you know who notices? Your future self. And speaking of your future self, if you're the kind of person who loves these deep mindset meets money conversations, I share stuff like this every single week in my free newsletter. It's where I go deeper, behind the scenes lessons, data, and stories that don't always make it into these videos. If that sounds like your thing, the link is right there in the description. You'll love it. Anyway, around month 12, I hit a plateau. I'd saved about $8,000, but now I wanted to grow that money. I wanted to learn how to make it work harder than I did. That's when I started dipping into the world of investing, not crazy day trading, but simple, boring index funds. At first, I was terrified. I thought investing meant gambling. But then I learned that time, not timing, is what matters most. And that's where the real compounding begins. But before I go deeper into that part, let me tell you something that happened around this time that nearly made me quit everything. I was about a year into this journey. My savings sat just above $8,000. And I was proud, but also bored. You know that feeling when progress slows down? When you're doing all the right things, but nothing feels different anymore? That's where I was. The dopamine rush of "I'm changing my life" had faded. Now it was spreadsheets, transfers, and quiet weekends. No fireworks, no applause, just stillness. And that's when the temptation crept back in. Because the closer you get to your goal, the louder your brain whispers, "You've earned a break." So one weekend, I almost blew it. My friends invited me on this last-minute Vegas trip. 4 days, flights were cheap. "Bro, you need this." I looked at my account and thought, I could afford it, technically. But then I heard that old voice again, not the reckless one, but the calm one that said, "Jack, if you touch your do not touch fund now, you're telling your future self he doesn't matter." That hit hard. So I didn't go. Instead, I stayed home, cooked my own food, watched a Netflix show I didn't even like, and scrolled through their Vegas stories like some monk who accidentally opened Instagram. But you know what? Monday came, they came back broke, and I still had momentum. That's when I learned one of the hardest truths about money. The cost of financial freedom is short-term FOMO. Nobody tells you that part. Everyone glamorizes saving, but saving is lonely. It's quiet. It's delayed gratification on hard mode. But that loneliness, it's not a punishment. It's a sign that you're doing something most people won't. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. Now, remember that $8,000? That's when I started investing a small portion, literally $100 a month, into an S&P 500 index fund. I had no idea what I was doing at first, so I treated it like tuition. I wasn't buying stocks, I was buying lessons. I read everything: Benjamin Graham, J.L. Collins, even Reddit forums full of questionable advice and diamond hands memes. But the pattern was clear. Wealth wasn't built by traders, it was built by planners, people who stuck around even when it was boring. Because here's what no one tells you: compounding doesn't just grow your money, it rewires your brain. Every time you see your balance inch higher, not from luck, but from consistency, your identity deepens. You start thinking long term by default. You stop needing quick wins because your patience finally pays rent. And that's when something crazy happened. My $8,000 turned into $9,200. Not overnight, but slowly. I didn't even notice it until one day I checked my account and saw a few $100s that I didn't work for. It felt illegal. Like, who put this here? And that's the moment I realized this is what freedom feels like. Not yachts, not luxury, just the quiet peace of knowing that time, not tension, is finally working in your favor. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Jack, this all sounds great, but I can barely save $100. How do I even start? Let me tell you something I wish someone told me at 22. You don't need to save big. You need to save early because consistency beats intensity. Always. $100 a month for 5 years at 8%, that's $7,300. $0 a month waiting for the perfect moment, that's still $0. Waiting kills compounding. So stop waiting for the raise, the better job, the perfect time. The perfect time was yesterday. The second best time is right now. And the beauty of it is once you start, your brain adapts. The first $100 hurts. The second feels normal. The 10th feels automatic. That's habit compounding. It's not about earning more, it's about reprogramming your baseline. Around month 15, I had about $9,400 saved. And that's when life decided to test everything I'd learned. Because, of course, right when things start going right, life shows up like, oh, you think you're stable now? Let's see. My car broke down. Full repair, $600. I had two choices: use a credit card or pull from savings. Old Jack would have swiped at card faster than a magician. But New Jack? New Jack had systems. So I used part of my emergency fund, paid in cash, and felt something weird: peace. No panic, no debt spiral, no guilt. That was the day I understood what saving really buys you. Not things, but calm. Because money problems don't just ruin budgets, they ruin sleep. And the best investment you can make is 8 hours of uninterrupted peace. But let me be real for a second. Even with all this progress, I still struggled sometimes. I'd have weeks where I'd think, what's the point of all this saving if I'm not even enjoying life? So I built something I called the Joy Budget. Every month, I gave myself $100 that I had to spend guilt-free. Keyword, had to. Coffee? Sure. Cheap concert tickets? Done. Random road trip snacks? Absolutely. Because if you remove joy completely, your discipline burns out. But when you build joy into your system, it becomes sustainable. Money shouldn't feel like punishment, it should feel like partnership. Now, this next part is huge, and it might just change the way you see saving forever. When you look at successful savers, it's not just about willpower, it's about identity alignment. Wealthy people think of money differently, not as something they spend, but as something they steward. They ask, how can I make this dollar serve me again later? So I started asking the same question. Every time I wanted to spend, I paused and thought, will this purchase serve me once or multiple times? If it served me once, short-term pleasure. If it served me multiple times, long-term return. That one mindset filter, single use versus compound use, rewired how I saw everything.
Now, quick pause. If you're watching this and you're vibing with these lessons, the mindset, the systems, the emotional side of money, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It tells me you want more content like this, real stories, not surface level advice. And it helps me keep making videos that actually move the needle for you. All right, back to the story. By now, I was 18 months in. My account finally crossed that magical line, $10,112. You know what's funny? It didn't feel magical at all. There were no fireworks, no sudden life change, just quiet pride and a calm I'd never felt before. Because it wasn't about the $10,000. It was about what that 10,000 proved. That discipline compounds, that patience pays, that ordinary income can still build extraordinary peace. And that's when I noticed something wild. My friends, the same ones who thought I was crazy for saying no to Vegas, started asking me for advice. Bro, how'd you actually do it? I keep trying to save and end up back at zero. And I realized saving money isn't a math problem, it's a behavior problem. Math doesn't make you swipe your card, emotions do. That's when I really started diving deep into behavioral finance, how our brain sabotages us. Did you know that when you get a paycheck, your brain literally feels the same dopamine as when you win something? So instantly wants to spend to complete the cycle. Saving interrupts that cycle, and that's why it feels so unnatural. You're literally rewiring biology. But once you understand that, you stop judging yourself. You start designing around your flaws. That's what systems are for, protecting you from your own impulses. And that's exactly what I want to help people do now. Because at the end of the day, financial success is just emotional regulation in disguise. When you can stay calm in chaos, when you can delay gratification while everyone else chases it, you win by default. You know what really helped me stick to all this, though? A tiny, unexpected tool: journaling. Yeah, I know, not the sexiest thing in the world, but writing down my habits, tracking my thoughts, and reflecting on what was working or not, that was game changing. Because data shows that people who track progress are 42% more likely to reach their goals. And that's exactly why I created my story of growth. Are you ready to transform your life through consistent daily actions? My story of growth is your ultimate companion for personal development. This journal is designed to help you build lasting habits, track your progress, and reflect on your journey towards self improvement. Each page is a step towards a better you, guiding you to harness the power of small daily efforts. Imagine waking up every day with a clear plan and purpose. With my story of growth, you'll document your daily achievements, set meaningful goals, and cultivate a mindset of continuous growth. This journal provides a structured approach to personal development, making it easier than ever to stay motivated and focused. Whether you're aiming to improve your health, career, or personal relationships, this journal will be your trusted guide. Don't wait to start your journey of growth. Order My Story of Growth today and take the first step towards a more fulfilling and successful life. Embrace the power of daily reflection and watch as your small actions lead to big changes. Your future self will thank you. That journal didn't just track numbers, it tracked transformation. Because it's not about how much you save, it's about who you become while saving it. Now, if you take anything away from this story, let it be this: saving $10,000 on a $45,000 salary isn't about the math. It's about the mindset. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to stay in the game longer than your impulses do. Every dollar you save is a vote for your future. Every no you say now is a yes you get to say later. And every boring, quiet month of consistency is a brick in the foundation of freedom. So if you're still at $0, start. If you're at $1,000, keep going. And if you're halfway, finish the story. Because once you cross that $10,000 mark, you'll never see money the same way again. You'll stop chasing it, you'll start partnering with it. And that's the difference between surviving and thriving. And hey, if this kind of content helped you rethink the way you see money or gave you a few aha moments that hit deep, subscribe. Seriously, it helps more than you think. It tells me you want more videos like this, practical, grounded, and rooted in real stories, not fake flexes.
And I promise, the next one is going to take you even deeper into what comes after saving. Because saving your first $10,000 is just the start. What you do after, that's what builds wealth for life. So to everyone watching, here's your challenge. Pick one system, automate it. Stick with it for 90 days. And when your brain tells you to quit, remember this story. Because the truth is, you're never actually starting from zero. You're starting from experience. And experience compounds. I'm Jack, and that's how I saved my first $10,000 on a $45,000 salary. Now, it's your turn.